Welcome to Stories I Know. If you're just joining us, we invite you to subscribe our channel and give this video a thumbs up. In just a fleeting moment, we find the inspiration to weave even more tales. Kindly give this video a thumbs up, and now, let's dive into the tale. It's surprising to find myself here, sharing my narrative with the world, yet life often reveals itself in the most unexpected ways. My name is Madison, and for a significant period, I was convinced that my marriage was flawless. My husband, James, was a compassionate and diligent individual devoted to ensuring the well-being of our family. After almost yet, a shift within me had begun to unfold. Brush it aside, persuading myself that every marriage experiences its ups and downs, that moments of unease are simply part of the journey. The journey began when I made the choice to enroll in a gym. Choice wasn't extreme. I had merely been experiencing a dip in my energy levels and sought to improve my physical condition. He even assisted me in selecting the gym that was nearest to our home. It was there that I encountered Noah. Noah held the position of head trainer at the gym, and right from our first encounter, I sensed there was something unique about him. Upon my initial entry into the gym, a wave of nervousness and self-awareness washed over me, yet he was the one who effortlessly put me at ease. "There's no need to achieve perfection right from the start," he said, his smile radiating reassurance. "It's all about making strides, not achieving flawlessness." Words lingered in my mind. It had been ages since anyone had addressed me with such genuine honesty, with such heartfelt kindness. I had settled into a rhythm of casual conversations and predictable habits, and then, out of nowhere, someone appeared who truly acknowledged my presence. Exchanges were purely formal. Workouts adjusted my form and motivated me when I was on the verge of quitting. Past, our discussions deepened, and I began to eagerly anticipate our meetings. In a conversation about existence, aspirations, and goals, I discovered that he was once a national-level athlete until an injury abruptly halted his career. He discussed the challenges of beginning anew and the quest for a fresh sense of purpose. I connected with that in a manner I hadn't anticipated. Over the years, I, too, sensed that a piece of myself had slipped away. The girl who once harbored grand aspirations, who laughed without restraint, who embraced life fully, had dimmed somewhere along her journey. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow, Arian and I found ourselves on the outdoor benches of the gym, refreshing ourselves with cool sips of water after a grueling workout. "You seem different today," he remarked, his gaze fixed on me. For a moment, I paused before responding. "At times, it seems as though I'm trapped in a cycle, reliving the same day repeatedly." He nodded, fully grasping my sentiment. "Habits can have that effect on individuals, yet you're embracing a transformation, Madison. Point and challenging yourself is the initial move toward liberation." Words resonated deeply within me. It transcended mere fitness. It became a journey to rediscover a piece of myself that had slipped away. Weeks went by. My body became more resilient, yet another transformation unfolded within me. To embrace a brighter outlook, feeling a sense of buoyancy. The outside, I was evolving on the inside as well. Heart of that transformation. Thoughts wandered to him beyond the confines of the gym. The echoes of his words, the warmth of his encouragement, and the essence of his presence all remained etched in my thoughts. I convinced myself it was inconsequential. I found myself consumed by a strong urge to reach out to him, to share my thoughts and feelings. Thought, not of agreement. Wrap this up shortly. We visited a quaint little cafe close to the gym, and for the first time in years, I discovered myself sharing thoughts and feelings that had long been kept inside. I shared with him the intricacies of my marriage, delving beyond the superficial aspects to reveal the emotional chasm and the profound loneliness that enveloped me. James wasn't portrayed as a bad husband, because that simply wasn't the case. He was a decent man, yet at some point, we transformed into two individuals leading parallel existences instead of being true partners. Word, offering no interruptions or judgments. Task, he merely remarked, "You deserve to feel alive, Madison." Thoughts well beyond that night. Did I really? That night, I returned home and found myself lying awake, gazing at the ceiling. To me, lost in slumber, oblivious to the tempest brewing within me. Speak with him, to express my feelings, yet I found myself at a loss for how to start. In the days that followed, I made an effort to distance myself from Arian, persuading myself that I was merely swept up in the thrill of a fresh experience. Yet, the harder I attempted to pull away, the clearer it became how deeply I longed for our talks, our shared laughter, and the way he truly understood me. Moment that transformed everything. The evening was draped in rain, and the gym stood nearly deserted. Just as I completed my session, the power flickered out for a brief moment. Only the two of us occupied the softly illuminated room, with the rhythmic patter of rain against the windows creating a soothing backdrop. I gazed at Arian, and for the first time, I noticed the turmoil in his eyes, as if he too was grappling with the same feelings. "Madison," he began, but I simply shook my head in response. "I understand," I murmured. We lingered in quietude, the atmosphere around us heavy with things left unsaid. At that instant, I realized I stood at a pivotal juncture. I wish I could claim that I made the correct decision right away. However, existence is far from straightforward. Thus, the journey of my tale commenced. In the days that followed that moment in the gym, I experienced the sensation of traversing a precarious tightrope. My thoughts swirled with a tumult of emotions: guilt, excitement, fear, and an irresistible yearning. I repeatedly reassured myself that nothing had transpired, that we had merely exchanged a fleeting moment of comprehension, nothing beyond that. Yet, beneath the surface, I was aware of the reality. I had traversed a boundary, not in a tangible sense, but in the realm of feelings. James, as always, stayed oblivious. He arrived home weary from his work, his mind consumed by the familiar patterns that had shaped our lives for so long. I attempted to maintain my composure, yet I sensed a transformation within me. I found myself increasingly uneasy, more easily sidetracked. I found myself glancing at my phone, curious if Noah had sent a message, despite the fact that we only spoke at the gym. One evening, James nonchalantly brought up that he would be away for work the upcoming weekend. "It's a conference," he remarked, his gaze fixed on the screen of his laptop. "I will be away for 3 days." I nodded, managing to conjure a smile. "Sure. Is there anything specific you would like me to pack for you?" He shook his head in disbelief. "No, it's a brief journey." That was the end of it. There is no room for debate or sentiment. It is simply a matter of fact. By now, I ought to have grown accustomed to it. Yet, in that instant, a deep pang resonated within my heart. Once, we could have spent endless hours discussing everything under the sun. At this point, a weekend spent apart felt insignificant. On the day James departed, I headed to the gym as I typically do. Yet, on this occasion, there was an unmistakable change. Perhaps it was the awareness that solitude awaited me in the coming days. Perhaps it was merely the burden of all that I had been experiencing. Yet, there I was, facing Noah after my session, feeling uncertain about the words I wished to express. He observed, "Are you all right?" After a moment of uncertainty, I gave a nod. "Indeed, just pondering." He observed me intently for a brief moment, then dried his hands on a towel. "Let's go," he urged. "How about we take a stroll?" I accepted it without hesitation. After our workout at the gym, we strolled over to the nearby park. The evening was serene, with a refreshing chill in the air and the sky adorned in shades of orange and pink. But what if what I'm seeking is misguided? He halted his steps and pivoted to confront me. Is it inappropriate to seek happiness? I found myself without a response. We settled onto a bench, observing the sun gracefully descend beneath the horizon. The duration of our stay remains a mystery, lost in the flow of our conversation. Reflecting on existence, on aspirations, on all that we have relinquished throughout the years. Everything flowed effortlessly with him. There were no expectations, no obligations, merely a shared understanding that we were two souls who had discovered comfort in one another's presence. Eventually, a chill began to settle in. A slight shiver ran through me, and before I could react, Noah removed his jacket and placed it gently over my shoulders. Though it was a minor act, it enveloped me in a warmth that transcended the mere materiality of the fabric. "Madison," he spoke softly, "I wish to keep things simple for you." I gazed into his eyes, noticing the worry etched upon his face. He wasn't urging me, nor was he attempting to guide me toward a direction I wasn't prepared to take. He presented me with an option, and that filled me with a deep sense of unease as I found myself uncertain about the decision I was facing. That night, I returned home with a whirlwind of emotions swirling within me. James reached out to see how things were going, and I responded as if everything was just fine. Yet, my thoughts wandered to distant realms. In the days that followed, I increasingly sought the company of Noah. Not due to any desire to stray from the path, but because he ignited a spark within me that I hadn't felt in years. We took more strolls, exchanged deeper dialogues, and with each moment, I sensed myself drifting further from the existence I once recognized. On the final day before James's anticipated return, Noah posed a question that shifted the entire course of events. "Is happiness something you feel, Madison?" It was a straightforward inquiry, yet it seemed to carry the immense burden of the universe. I tried to respond, but silence enveloped me as the answer eluded my grasp, perhaps revealing the core of the issue from the very beginning. That night, I found myself wide awake, gazing at the ceiling, endlessly cycling through Noah's question in my thoughts. "Is happiness something you feel, Madison?" It ought to have been a straightforward question to respond to, yet the stillness within me was overwhelming. James returned home the following evening, weary from his journey. He embraced me, pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead, and shared details about his meetings. I nodded, smiled, listened, yet within me, there was a sense of alienation in my own space. I realized it was time to choose a path forward. I could no longer exist in this state of uncertainty, caught between the world I had created and the feelings that had profoundly unsettled me. Thus, the following morning, I took an action I never imagined I would. I inquired with James about the possibility of having a conversation. He appeared taken aback, perhaps with a hint of concern. "Certainly," he replied, placing his phone down. "What seems to be the issue?" I paused, sifting through my thoughts for the perfect expression. "Do you believe we are content?" His brow knitted in concentration. "Could you clarify what you mean?" I inhaled deeply. "Do you ever get the sense that something has slipped away from us, as if we're merely going through the motions of life?" He remained silent for an extended pause. He let out a deep sigh. "Madison, marriage doesn't always bring the thrill. Our journey together spans many years. Transformations occur. However, that doesn't imply we're discontented. Yet, do we find joy?" I pushed. He furrowed his brow, as though the reason for my inquiry eluded him. I believed we were. That was the moment I understood the issue. James and I existed in entirely separate realms. For him, our existence felt steady, sufficiently foreseeable. Yet, it seemed to me that an essential element was absent, something I could no longer overlook. I chose not to mention Noah to him. That wasn't the focus. The essence was that I had transformed, that I could no longer maintain the facade that all was well when deep down, I understood it was not. "I believe it's essential for us to determine our desires," I murmured, as I wished to avoid waking up a decade later and discovering that we are merely two individuals cohabiting rather than truly living a life together. James gazed at me intently. For the first time in years, I noticed a flicker in his eyes, fear, sadness, perhaps even a hint of regret. He confessed that he didn't want that either. It was the most genuine dialogue we had experienced in years, marking the start of an unforeseen journey for both of us. In the days that ensued, we endeavored to engage in conversation, truly engage. We began taking walks, preparing meals side by side, and reflecting on the beginnings of our marriage. It wasn't an instant solution, and it didn't eliminate the uncertainties in a flash, but it marked the beginning. I have made a decision regarding Noah. I visited the gym one final time and discovered him in his customary spot. He perceived the choice reflected in my gaze before I uttered a word. "I can't do this," I said to him. He nodded, a subtle smile of comprehension gracing his lips. "I understand. Meeting you is something I hold dear," I expressed sincerely. "You opened my eyes to truths I had long overlooked, yet I must first navigate my own path before I risk further missteps." "You deserve to be happy, Madison," he said, and for the first time, I truly believed it. That day, I turned away, fully aware that my choice was for myself, not for James, not for Noah, but for me alone. Happiness stems not from the company we keep, but from the inner tranquility we cultivate within ourselves first. My narrative isn't centered around infidelity. It's about the awakening to the brevity of life and the importance of not merely existing in a routine. Often, the most challenging decision isn't to walk away, but to remain and battle for what genuinely holds significance.